can't even imagine what I was at right at the end of prep. I was probably at like 50. How I went from 73 nanograms per deciliter to 341 nanograms per deciliter. I know a lot of people probably watch this video expecting like, okay, what's the supplement stat? How many calories? What's the fat should I eat? Number one thing, I'd probably attribute 95% of the change to Alright guys, what is going on? Today is a pretty special video. I'm going to be talking about how I fixed my testosterone. Alright, how I went from 73 nanograms per deciliter to 341 nanograms per deciliter, almost a 5 times increase. For those of you who don't know, the reference range for males is somewhere between 300 to 900. So you might be thinking like, yo, your testosterone's horrible. Bro, why are you making a video about this? But I was at 73 a year or so ago. I 5x'd my testosterone naturally. So that's gotta be worth something right there, right? 5x'ing your testosterone naturally, that's pretty big. The other thing you might be wondering is why was your testosterone so low in the first place? How did you get to 73? That's like lower than what females have in terms of testosterone. How did you manage to get yourself there, you idiot? Well, guys, what I did was the stupidest thing ever. I did an aggressive cut, but I did it backwards. Before the aggressive diet, I was around 500 to 550 nanograms per deciliter. I got it tested a couple times. That was kind of my, that's my base natural range where my body naturally kind of sits at, right? So I had to prep for a show. I gave myself 5 months to prep. And I started losing weight. I started losing a pound or so a week early on in prep. And I got like 8 weeks out from the show and I started looking around social media. I'm like, all right, what's everyone else looking like? When they were 8 weeks out, what are the people who are going to be on stage with me looking like right now? I digged around. I'm like, who's competing in the show? How do they look right now? They all blew me out of the fucking water, bro. I was like, I'm so fat. I'm so behind right now. So I turned up, bro. I turned it up. I kicked it into third, fourth, fifth gear, whatever. I started going apeshit bonkers, bro. I took the calories. I slashed them. I was on the incline treadmill I was watching movies on that thing, bro. I was clocking in the hours, bro. My steps were crazy, calories were low, and I ended up losing like 3 pounds per week towards the tail end of prep. Like, I was dropping weight quickly. And usually what you want to do is the opposite. When you're high body fat early on in the cut, you don't have a lot of diet fatigue. So what you can do is you can be pretty aggressive off the bat. And then when you get leaner, when diet fatigue is higher, when you're at higher risk for muscle loss and hormonal issues, you slow things down. My dumbass was like, yeah, I'm gonna do the opposite, mostly because I didn't have a coach for most of prep. I didn't really work with Michael Donato until like 4 weeks out, I think. Maybe 3 or 4 weeks out. But basically, I didn't know what I was doing, bro. I mean, I looked great on stage, don't get me wrong, but, first place in my class, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I crashed my hormones. I went to get my blood work tested 3 or 4 months after I finished prep, and I was at 73. So you can't even imagine what I was at right at the end of prep. I was probably at like 50. Something just infinitesimally small. And I noticed it too. I'm like, I feel my libido is gone, like essentially non-existent. My energy was cooked. Even just like trying to get out of the car was like, oh my gosh. I had to like mentally prepare myself. Like, bro, walking upstairs, don't even get me started. It was just like, there was no energy. My desire to lift and work out was so low. It was a chore. I had to get the gym done, whereas before that, it was like, all right, I get to go to the gym. Energy was low, libido was horrible, like drive and motivation was not good either. I kind of just like wanted to chill. At all times, I just wanted to chill. Of course, a motherfucker like me still put in that work, bro. I'm grinding every day at this shit. But it was harder, like before then it was easy. It was like I loved working hard at things. And then it was like, all right, I gotta get through this shit. Long story short, I felt horrible. I felt like a shell of a man. So I was like, all right, what do I gotta do? Like, all right, I need to get out of this situation. So what did I do? First thing I did was I upped my caloric intake. I put myself into a caloric surplus. I made sure that every week I was gaining weight. Not too quickly, but around a ½ pound per week on average. Number 2 is I upped my dietary fat intake because during prep, my fats were around 40 to 50 grams. You're supposed to have 0.3 grams per pound of body weight minimum in terms of dietary fat. I was just barely skating on that line. I was probably a little bit below it most of the time. Instead of having 40 to 50 grams, which I was having on prep, I was having 80, 90, sometimes 100 grams. And I ran with that. I ran with that for a year or so. And then I got my testosterone checked a year later. And I was at 200. So improvement, but minimal, like for a year, you'd expect a little bit more improvement. So I looked back, I'm like, all right, what did I do this past year? Like, I thought I was doing everything right. But when I thought back on the year, I remembered all the times when I wasn't in a surplus. I realized there were countless times where I would go away for a week, I'd go on vacation, or I would do this, or I'd do that. And I would come back like 6 pounds lighter because I would undereat. I naturally have a very high maintenance. I'm very active, so it's harder for me to get calories in. So when I travel and I'm away from my typical eating schedule, I tend to undereat, which is a bit of an issue. What that causes is it almost reverses all progress that I will make for like 2-3 months in a surplus. I'll just lose the weight within 1 or 2 weeks. So I was kind of like, I'd move forward a little bit and then I'd jump back. I'd move forward a little bit and jump back. I ended up basically at stage weight, like 8 months after being on stage. I didn't really gain any real weight. I was like, all right, this is the issue. This is why my testosterone isn't going up, because I haven't actually put on weight. I was at such a low body fat percentage that my body was just basically screaming for more food, screaming for more energy. It's like, listen, bro, if you want to stay this body fat percentage, cool. Our main priority right now is getting you to a higher body fat percentage. We're not going to give you more testosterone. You don't need to be reproducing right now, bro. It's not a priority. We got to get you some body fat so you don't starve to death. That's basically the reason why testosterone gets tanked when you're that lean. Your body just learns to prioritize food over like sex drive and stuff like that. It's just like, when you're starving to death in the winter and there's no food around from an evolutionary standpoint, you're not trying to reproduce, bro. You're trying to survive. You're trying to just get food. So testosterone will be tanked if you are shredded out of your mind. And I realized I'm like a year later, like I'm damn near still that lean. Like, yeah, say what you want. Like, yeah, that's dope, bro. Like you stay lean year round. It's not cool, bro. Staying lean year round, let me tell you guys, it's not fun. It's not cool. Look at me right now. I'm lean, but I got a little bit of body fat on me, I'm not like, I kind of still got that shit, I'm not gonna lie, bro. But, I'm not as shredded as I was. So, I'm getting all over the place anyway, but 73 to 200 in about a 1 year span. It's improvement, but it's not great. So I got those results back and I was like, all right, you know what, bro? I'm turning up now. When I say turning up, I don't mean turning up like I said before, like when I was shredding really hard. I mean turning up like I'm about to get fat, bro. I start putting down the calories. I'm about to start getting a little bit fatter. And that's what I had to do, right? When I say get fat, I don't mean I ate 1,000,000 calories every day, just ate whatever I wanted. I mean, I tracked my calories, I continued to hit my protein goal, I continued to eat clean and healthy, but I ate enough food to be able to gain 2-3 pounds per month and make sure that I didn't lose it in the span of a 1 to 2 week like mini shred that I would subconsciously do. I made sure that for months on end, like a 3, 4, 5 month span, I was consistently in a surplus, nailing it every single day and watching my weight steadily go up. And after that, I got it tested again. In 3 months, I went up to 341. So 1 year, I only went up by like, 125 nanograms per deciliter from 75 to 200. Then in 3 months, way shorter time frame, I went up by way more. I went up by like 150. So what it came down to, guys, at the end of the day, the top #1 thing that allowed me to fix where I was at and get back into the reference range, energy availability. That is it. It is not some magical supplement I was taking. It wasn't even really the fat intake, because keep in mind, when I spent a year going from 73 to 200, negligible change, I had very high dietary fat intake. If that does indeed improve your testosterone, you would have thought that I would be higher than 200. You would have thought I'd be 300, 400, 500 from a year of much more fat intake than I actually needed. And yes, I had my fat intake balanced in terms of saturated, unsaturated, omega-3, omega-6. I had everything dialed in. I was making sure I was getting every single fat, but that didn't do the trick because I wasn't giving myself the energy, i.e. calories, that I needed. And I know how much it sucks to hear, because once you get really shredded, the last thing you want to do is put on body fat. All you want to do is just stay shredded, because you get complimented constantly. Oh my gosh, you're so lean, you're so lean. And then once you start, like, I remember when I first started putting on a little bit of body fat, like 2-3 weeks after my show, I had a couple people be like, damn, bro, you got a little fluffy. I'm like, dude, I was 7% body fat, now I'm 8% body fat. Like, I was leaner, I was shredded out of my mind. And I think people were just messing with me. But it gets to your head. Like, it really does get to your head. Even if you're still really, really lean, when you start to see yourself go from insanely lean to slightly less insanely lean, you just instantly are like, oh my gosh, I got fat. I lost it. I don't have what it takes anymore. Like I'm not disciplined. I don't look good anymore. I can't post on social media anymore. I directly correlated my body fat percentage to how well I was doing on social media. And I can't blame myself at the end of the day, because views are so correlated to body fat percentage, depending on, the type of content you make, of course. But the type of content I was making, if I was shredded out of my mind, I got views. If I was like just lean but not shredded, then I just blended in with everyone else. I didn't get views. And my coaching business was directly correlated to views. The more views I got, the more shredded I was, the more people would hit me up about coaching and be like, yo, bro, I'm looking for coaching. And then once I started getting a little bit fluffier and posting videos of myself, the leads stopped coming in. Nobody really wanted coaching anymore. I was like, damn, bro. So I have to be shredded. I have to be shredded if I want to make money doing this. Because the unfortunate reality at the time was that a lot of people would hit me up for coaching because they just wanted to look like me. And these aren't the people I'm working with today. The people I'm working with today that I've been with for long term have their priorities set on straight, dialed, they're in the right headspace, they're doing the right thing. But I had a lot of people that would hit me up about coaching that thought that like they could just look like me if they got coached by me for like 2 months. And I had to break it to them. I'm like, listen, bro, like that's not really how it works. We can improve your physique. We can take everything to the next level. We can make everything dialed in to where you're making as much progress as you possibly can naturally. But I can't just make you look like me. But then as time went on, I realized I'm like, these aren't really the clients that I want to work with. The people that just see a video of someone who's super shredded and are like, oh, I want to get coached by them so I can look like them. It's not the type of person I want to work with. The type of people I want to work with are the type of people that see the results that I post of my clients, that see the value I give, that see the information I give, that see the knowledge I have, and understand my value as a coach and want to utilize that value in order to make progress. Those are the people that I'm working with right now, who I'm coaching right now, who are making insane progress and are dedicated and sticking with the plan long term because I got to coach for the right reasons. So that gave me the confidence that like, okay, I don't need to be 8% body fat year round. If it means I lose some of the 1-monther clients, like I call them the 1-monthers, the people who sign up for a month and then 2 weeks later give up. If I lose those clients, fine. I don't want to work with those people, but I can still get the right type of clients, the people who actually want to stick with the plan long term and want to see things through for 6-7 months. Sorry, 6-8 months and will actually see results if they do so. Those are the people I want to work with, and those are the type of people that don't care how lean you are. They don't care. Like if I'm 14% body fat and someone hits me up about coaching, I'm like, bro, I know this person's actually about this shit, because they didn't just hit me up because they saw a video of me lean. They hit me up because they saw the progress I've made for all the people I've worked with. No, I've been able to transform people's physiques. I've been able to take people from not really being confident in themselves at all to feeling they can walk in the room and be like, I'm the man, bro. Or I'm the woman. I have coached females too. I coach both genders, bro. I do it all. I'm Coach Drew, dude. I do it all. I don't know what that was. Sorry, guys. I got a little sidetracked. Off topic. But moral of the story is if you are stuck in a low testosterone state due to being low body fat, you need to get out of that low body fat state. You need to put on a healthy amount of body fat and get back into your set point range. For some people, it's a little bit different. For some people, Tristan Lee, someone like that, his set point is like, what, 6%? He can just naturally sit there and be totally fine. For some people, it might be like 15%. Most people are going to be fine between 11 and 13%, give or take. But that's the reality of it. So much of this just comes down to energy availability. Consistently telling your body that, okay, there's enough food coming in. We don't need to worry. We're not going to starve, The biggest mistake I was making for a year straight was these aggressive mini cuts that I would accidentally do. And basically what this tells your body, what it signals to you is, all right, energy's here for a little bit, but at any given moment, we may go 2 weeks with like barely any food at all. That's what I was doing. Those were what my aggressive mini cuts were. I would lose like 6 pounds because I would be in like a 1,500 calorie deficit for like a week on end. So your body knows this. It starts to learn this pattern that like these things are coming. So it's never going to prioritize hormones. It's always going to prioritize energy and just making sure that you get enough food and make sure you need to get the body fat on. Once you finally tell your body, listen, That's not going to happen anymore. We're going to have energy coming in for months and months and months on end, and it's not going to stop. If you continuously put yourself in a surplus every single day, I don't mean surplus 5 days out of the week and then deficit 2. I mean 7 days out of the week you're in a surplus for months and months and months and months, then you're good. That's when your body starts to realize, all right, we're okay. Maybe we can turn, maybe we can get the morning wood going again. You know what I'm saying? Like get things back to normal. We can get some action, bro. Does that mean I'm getting action? Fuck no. Once you start bodybuilding, you kind of learn like, yeah, bro, you think that you're going to get huge and start getting all these chicks? No, you just get compliments from dudes. But yeah, that's a whole side conversation. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is give yourself the energy. And that might mean changing the way you see scale weight. When you are in a diet for a long period of time, your brain associates lower scale weights with reward of, okay, we're doing things right, we're moving forward. And every time you see the scale weight jump up, you panic, you freak out. I need to lower my calories, like something's wrong, I'm not doing things right. And that lingers with you. Even when you tell yourself, all right, it's over, I'm gonna go into a lean bulk now, that mindset lingers because you've had that pattern ingrained into your brain for so long. So when you start this lean bulking process of, all right, let me go into it 100, 200 calorie surplus, start getting my hormones back in check. When you see the scale weight go up, there's a good chance your brain's still gonna tell you like, yo, that's wrong. You gotta eat less, bro. You gotta see that scale weight going down because they're so used to thinking like that. So it might take a little bit of time, all right? You need to train yourself. Like every time you see the scale weight go up, even if you don't believe it, you need to consciously tell yourself, this is a good thing. I'm making progress. I'm going to be feeling better. I'm going to perform better. I'm going to feel better. Everything's going to be better now that my body weight is going up. And every time you see a big decrease in your body weight, don't give yourself that big reward. You need to tell yourself like, yo, I fucked up. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing, bro. I gotta make sure I eat my calories today. I gotta make sure I don't do excess compensatory cardio. I gotta make sure I'm in a surplus. And then after a couple weeks, you're good to go. Like you've fixed the pattern. It just takes this conscious effort, even if it feels like you're lying to yourself, of telling yourself, scale weight up, good. Scale weight down, bad. And once you get used to that, you're totally fine and you have the momentum and you're good to go. You just gotta give it the time. These things takes time. You cannot just in 2 weeks run some magical protocol that's gonna fix your hormones. I know a lot of people probably watch this video expecting like, okay, what's the supplement stack? What's the, cardio program? How many calories? What's fats should I eat? It's calories, bro. It's energy availability. That is like the number one thing. I'd probably attribute 95% of the change to that. For everyone that's curious, I will run through everything else that I did. I will run through my supplement stack, my calories, basically everything that I was doing, right? So from 200 to 340, when I made the most significant change, the supplements I were taking was D3, about 5,000 IUs a day, zinc, 50 milligrams per night, magnesium glycinate, 300 milligrams per night, vitamin C, about 500 milligrams per day, ashwagandha occasionally. I would cycle on and off. I don't remember the dosage. I would just take whatever the bottle said, but I don't think that had anything to do with it, nor do I think any of the other supplements had anything to do with it. Lastly, a fish oil. Fish oil I would take on days where I didn't eat fatty fish. Now keep in mind, I personally eat fatty fish a lot. I love sardines. Call me crazy. I don't care, bro. Sardines are gas. They're so good. If you don't like sardines, you probably just haven't ever tried them and you watch too much SpongeBob and you think that sardines are gross or whatever, but I be mowing them shits down, dude. They're good with rice. But yeah, if I eat sardines, I don't take a fish oil because I already got my fish oil. If I don't eat any fish that day, I'll take a fish oil. Creatine as well, but that's, I only got on that like a month or so ago, but that I don't think that had anything to do with it. Calories, I've been on 4,000 to 4,200 calories. Now that might seem like a lot, right? So I'm not telling you to go eat 4,200 calories. I'm telling you to eat in a surplus of 100 to 200, maybe 300, maybe 400 calories. Anywhere between 100 to 500 is probably fine. If you're on the leaner side, have a little bit bigger surplus. If you're kind of closing in on almost at a healthy body fat percentage, then you can have a smaller surplus. Because when you're super lean, your body's going to put on muscle before it's going to put on fat. So being in that high surplus, it's not like, oh, if you were in a lower surplus, you'd put on less fat and more muscle. You're going to put on fat either way, so you might as well just kind of move through the process as quickly as you can. So if you're super shredded, 500, maybe even, a little bit more, a little bit bigger of a surplus, until you get to the point where you feel a little bit better and you're at a slightly better body fat percentage, then bring your surplus down. Protein, obviously 1 gram per pound of body weight. I know a lot of people say 0.7. I go with 1 because I'd rather have that little bit of extra insurance. Believe it or not, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I have way more than 1 gram per pound of body weight protein right now because I'm 4,200 calories. Any of you guys who are on high calories know this. Protein just catches up to you. It's extremely easy to get protein in, and so much protein just gets kind of brought along for the ride through rice, oats, bread. Just your carb sources have a little bit of protein too, so protein gets up there. I'm on a good amount of protein, but that's not gonna help your testosterone. Fats, this may play a bit of a role. So what I do in terms of fats is I shoot for 100 grams per day minimum, but I usually end up closer to 120, 130, which is very high for my body weight. When you're on high calories, things just come along for the ride. It's kind of hard to eat low fat or, like low on protein when you're just on such high calories. But what my fat intake usually will consist of is I have a few minimums I like to hit every day, and I like to hit 3 whole eggs. Sometimes I hit 2, sometimes I hit 6, sometimes I miss totally. I have 0 if I'm traveling or something, but I aim to have 3 whole eggs a day, mostly because I know that cholesterol helps a little bit with hormonal productions. And then B, I make sure I have my fatty fish or a fish oil. That's my other, pivotal fat source that I make sure I nail. Aside from that, everything else I kind of just fill in with avocado, nuts, beef, olive oil, and then just trace fats from any processed foods I have. Yes, I eat processed foods occasionally. No, it's not the end of the world. Like, I'm totally fine. And then aside from fats, the rest are just carbs. I make sure I have my fiber. I get like 30 to 40 grams of fiber, and then I make sure that my carbs consist of glucose and fructose. Pre-workout, post-workout, I make sure I have a lot of fructose because I want to prioritize liver glycogen. The rest of the day, glucose is fine, prioritize muscular glycogen. But yeah, that's basically the macro split. I make sure on Chronometer that I'm hitting most, if not all, of my micronutrients. This is another thing that will matter a little bit, your micronutrients. When you go on Chronometer, you have your macros and calories listed right here. You swipe over, it says highlighted nutrients, click on it, hit daily report, scroll down, and you get all this data. Vitamins, micronutrients, carbs, fats, all this stuff. And you want to look particular at your vitamins and minerals. If there's anything you're deficient in, if it's not green, if it's white, if they're really low, you want to look into either supplementing them, or a better case scenario is just click on it and it'll actually tell you what foods. If you scroll down to the bottom after you click on it, it tells you sources. It tells you foods that are high in that vitamin or mineral. So you can add those foods into your diet, incorporate them in to try to hit that micronutrient or mineral. Omega-3s are pretty important, like fish oil, fatty fish, like I was saying. That's the only way you can get omega-3s in the form of EPA and DHA. So if you're not consuming fish often, I would highly recommend taking a fish oil supplement. Aside from that, overtraining, that's another variable. Some people are overtraining and that's kind of tanking their testosterone. But to be honest with you guys, I can almost guarantee you're not overtraining. Overtraining really does get blown way out of proportion. Most people are just tired, which is totally normal. If you're training really hard, you're going to be a little bit tired throughout the day. It's not going to be easy to lift 6 days a week, If you're training really hard, you're never really going to feel like motivated and amped to train every single day. You may feel like you're overtraining when you're not. That being said, if you are someone who is doing just an immense amount of volume, you're training 6 or 7 days a week. You're training 6 or 7 days a week with like 20, 30 sets per session total, working sets to failure. I'm saying sets to failure, not like with a few reps in reserve. Maybe you're doing other stuff too, like endurance training on top of that. There's a good chance you're overtraining, which will limit your ability to recover hormonally. So make sure your recovery is in check, your training is in check. Lastly, sleep. The reason I mentioned this last is because it's such an obvious one and most people just already know it. Sleep, I don't even count as part of this because sleep is so crucial for so many other things that if you're not sleeping enough, that's a whole problem in itself. And you shouldn't even be worrying about your hormones. You should be worrying about fixing your sleep before you fix anything else, because sleep, I don't know why I waited to the end of the video. I should have said this in the beginning of the video, but sleep is so insanely important. I cannot stress it enough. High quality sleep, high duration sleep. You want to be getting at least 7 to 8 hours of high quality sleep. That means you're only waking up maybe once or twice throughout the night at most. And when you do wake up, you're only awake for like a minute. You wake up, go piss, have some water, instantly back to sleep. When you do lay down in bed to go to sleep, you're falling asleep within 5-10 minutes, ideally. When you wake up in the morning, you're not waking up until you're actually supposed to wake up. It's not like you're waking up 3 hours before you're supposed to wake up and just laying in bed there. Like, you want to be getting 8 hours of restful, high quality sleep. It means no caffeine before bed. That means like your nightly cup of coffee. I never understand this, bro. I don't mean to be a hater, but like some of y'all are retarded. But yeah, I drink a cup of coffee before bed. It helps me go to sleep. What? You got something wrong with you, bro. But yeah, no caffeine before bed. Don't go crazy with screen time before bed. Try to go to bed in a relaxed state. And then people will say, they'll be like, yeah, no, I sleep just fine no matter what I do. Like, I can sleep like a baby, even if I have an energy drink an hour before bed. Even if you're falling asleep, you're not getting high quality sleep. So dial in your sleep if it means having a blackout sheets or blinds, having a, you know, I have a mask I wear sometimes. If it's too bright, I throw this guy on. I have AirPods I throw in. They're broken. These don't even work anymore, but I just use them as earplugs. If, you know, if the neighbors are like fucking power washing their floor at 3 a.m. or something, you know, make sure your room is cold. That's pretty key. Make sure your bed is comfortable. You don't want to be sleeping on like a crappy bed where you just wake up with back pain every night. You don't want to be going to bed at 9 p.m. one night and then at 3 a.m. the next night. Try to stay within a 1 hour window. You know, I personally sleep from 12 to 8 basically every single night. So dial in your sleep, dial in your micronutrients, dial in your macronutrients, dial in your recovery, and then food, bro. Energy availability, calorie surplus. And that's it, guys. That's really like everything that I can mention. Like anything else that people talk about, like, oh, sunning your ball sack or like raw meat or whatever, it's also, it's a fugazi. Just eat some food, man. Eat some food. Let yourself live a little bit. If you're one of those people that struggles with like, you know, body dysmorphia or eating issues or something like that, then you kind of do need to look into those before you just implement anything else, because those are going to be, a lot of times that's the root cause of why people aren't giving themselves enough calories to recover their hormones, because there is an underlying issue with body dysmorphia or just an eating issue in general. I've had a bit of eating issues, you know, post-prep, as has pretty much anybody who's prepped for a show. Very hard to do that and then just go back to normal person eating. Takes a lot of time to sort of fix bad habits or, you know, just create a better mental space around food. But I've found personally that not overthinking it kind of helps. Like, the more you tell yourself, oh my gosh, my relationship with food is so messed up, the more you're going to think about it and the more it's going to become an issue. If you just kind of tell yourself like, yeah, bro, I did a prep, you know, I'm fucking scared of calories. Like, just be honest with yourself. Like, yo, if you're scared of calories, be like, yo, I'm scared of calories. And through that honesty, you'll realize you're like, bro, that's the dumbest shit I ever said in my life. Scared of energy? Like, calories are energy, bro. Calories are not something to fear. Calories are what I'm talking. See these things I'm doing? I'm talking, I'm moving my arms, I'm dancing. Calories allowed that to happen. If I wasn't eating calories, I'd be sitting here like this, bro. You'd be dead if you weren't eating calories. So calories, you need that shit, guys. Don't sleep on calories. Sleep on the bed. All right? That's the dumbest shit I ever said. Yeah, guys. To sum it all up once again, no. I'm not going to do that. I already summed it up once, bro. You guys are probably sick of this video. I'm not going to keep... I'm so redundant with some things, bro. I'd be saying things like 8,000 times. I have a short-term memory issue, so I forget what I've said and what I haven't said. Man, bro, I don't look good right now. Listen, you guys also need to understand, the last thing I'll say is, when you do start to put the body fat on, probably going to go through a short phase where you aren't happy with how you look. And the worst thing you can do is compare pictures. If you start looking back at pictures of when you were shredded, you're done for. Because what pictures do is they make lean physiques look huge, and they make bigger, bulkier physiques look smaller. In person, it's a different story. You know, you look at someone shredded but is a little bit small in person, they don't look that big. But you look at someone who's like big and bulky but higher body fat in person, they look massive. Whereas pictures do the exact opposite. Shredded looks big, big looks small. It all comes down to body fat. So don't compare pictures of yourself of, oh my gosh, I look so much fatter now, I look smaller now, because that's a common trap you fall into. Look at strength. You know, is my strength going up? Am I feeling better overall? Is my energy better? Is my libido better? Are all these things better? Those are the indicators of whether you're improving things and recovering. That's pretty much everything, guys. That's my whole spiel on testosterone recovery and what I did. I know this video was a little bit all over the place, so I'm gonna still post this video, even though it wasn't, I'm gonna be real, guys, I wasn't planning on this video being this like wacky and all over the place and informal. I was focusing on doing a nice sit down, almost like a PowerPoint. But I was like, you know what, bro? I know people are gonna fuck with that. So let me just kind of sit here and talk instead. If you guys would rather, you know, a real, more informative, concise PowerPoint style video, let me know in the comments and I'll do that one as well. But for now, this is what you get, bro. So hate to break it to you, you just listen to me talking. So stupid, bro. That does not go there. Like, I do not sleep with, this is my bed, by the way. I do not sleep with my bodybuilding trophy sitting on a pillow. I just put that there because I thought it looked cool in the background of the video. These plants, bro, this is the first time these plants have seen sun in about 3 years. They usually just sit right here on my desk. They probably have fucked testosterone, bro. Because the sun is like calories to the plants, right? And I've been giving my plants a, you know, they've been sitting over here. They're in that sun deficit, bro. Now, though, they're in that sun surplus. So they're probably going to get their hormones back on track, just like me, bro. That's it, though. I'm going to wrap it up here. So, hope you guys enjoyed. I got some sun today. I got tan today, so I kind of look sick right now, right? I'll do a Zeke update, all right? Let's do a Zeke update. Yeah, guys, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope if you are struggling with the same thing, because I know a lot of people have. I get so many DMs whenever I post about this stuff of people talking about like, yeah, bro, I'm going through the same crap right now. How did you fix it? How are you fixing it? And most of the time for the past year or so, I had to tell people like, yo, I didn't fix it. I didn't fix shit, bro. So I don't know what to tell you. I wish I had an answer for you, but I'm still struggling with it, bro. But now that I'm kind of out of it, you know, I'm going to get blood work done again soon. Hopefully I can get to like 500 or so, which would be dope. And then I'll probably do another video just milking this as much as possible. But I'm glad that now I finally do have some info and some proof that, you know, I've done it. I've made it into the reference range. Like, that's just getting into the reference range is a huge win. So I'm going to share what I did with you guys. So, calorie surplus, bro. Don't be afraid to bulk. But yeah, that's it. I will see you guys in the next one.